Hey, what's up guys? My name is Rygo and welcome back to the YouTube channel. So today we're going to do a wingsurfing video and we're going to talk about a question, pretty common question I think that we all kind of wonder, and that is wingsurfing a light wind sport and how light can you go? And I think in the initial stages it really wasn't a light wind sport. It was a sport where everybody was learning we need a little bit more wind to get going, but we're in a phase where the gear has developed. We have really good specialty light wind gear. So absolutely wingsurfing is now a light wind sport. Regarding how low can you go, that's definitely a skill question. So with a good light wind board, a nice big high aspect wing, and a light wind hand wing, I think there are riders who are riding in like 6-7 knots. Personally, I'm doing like 9 to 10 at the moment is my current threshold. And I just want to talk about some tips on how you could bridge yourself into light wind and why you might want to consider it. And what was most interesting about learning to light wind wing was this was the least annoying learning curve I've had in wingsurfing yet. So every time I size down on a board, there were some challenges. There's a J curve where you're gonna feel worse before you get better when you size down your board, when you size down your foil. And crossing over to this light wind gear, it was actually an absolute pleasure. I was really surprised at how fast and nimble these new shapes are. These longer, narrower boards, they go so fast. There will be no wind. You just pump the wing, and even just that motion of pumping the wing, the board will actually pick up enough speed. And then with the high aspect foils being so efficient, just a couple of little pumps with your feet, and you could pump that board up. And yeah, it was a really rewarding experience. It took me about half an hour to figure it out, but it was very comfortable. I enjoyed the long board, little things like that. I like sitting on it's kind of nice to straddle a board in the water that feels more like a surfboard and not like a high volume wing surfboard. It was very nice having the larger wing actually for support as well. So when it comes to stability, obviously one of the hardest things when you're advancing and let's say you're sizing down on a board is you're losing stability, so you're using more core strength. But with that high aspect wing giving you that support, the board was very stable, and then having that point of contact of a larger wing also kind of works as like something you could push in the water, whether you're pushing the wingtip or the leading edge just to get up. So as far as stability, I was using less core strength, less balance, and it was a really fun, rewarding experience. So I would encourage you to give it a try. Wingsurfing is definitely crossed over to a light wind sport. So let's talk about the right gear to get into this. So you do want to have a proper light wind wingboard, a nice big high aspect wing that's got tons of glide, and a manageable but big light wind wing. And that's kind of the key, is manageable, because if you go too big, let's say you're 5'4" and you're trying to fly a 7 meter, it's absolutely doable, but in light wind, a 7 meter might feel kind of heavy for you, and there are wing management considerations. So you're using a longer board, it's easier for the nose of that board to get over the wing. The funny thing about light wind boards is they're so fast and efficient that you can even outrun the wing and end up running it over more regular than you would in your regular like 15, 16, 17 knot sessions, 20 plus knot sessions. And on that note of the equipment, it is a really exciting time to try all the new fun light wind gear. So for example, a good light wind board, I'm using this 95 liter AK Durable Supply Co. Nomad, and it's longer, it's narrower, but what's interesting about it is it's high enough volume to float me, and it has a hydrodynamic hull, so when I'm pumping the wing, that board picks up speed really fast. And then with that HA wing beneath me, you get the lateral stability that you would lack with a longer, narrower board, but having that big wingspan under your feet makes a huge difference. And there's kind of an interesting technique because you just get a little bit of speed, you pump the wing, the board will pick up speed very quickly. And then with a big high aspect wing, a couple of pumps with your feet, and that wing will pop up, break the surface tension on the water, and you can do a couple of gentle pumps with the wing in your hand, and you're flying in what feels like next to nothing. So I think some considerations are you want the right gear, but I think there is also a point of diminishing returns. So for example, a 7 meter wing is incredible because you can get so much power and next to no wind, but when you're in threshold winds where it's not too light and it's not strong, I almost think there might even be an advantage to considering like a 6 meter and maybe even a slightly smaller high aspect, because when you do break the surface tension of the water, strangely, you feel powered quite fast. So Lightwind foiling is definitely a different experience, and it's a different kind of ride. When you're used to using something that's a little more maneuverable, like say a 1030 medium aspect, or a 1030 high aspect even, and you go to something like a 1600 or a 2050, having that giant wingspan, there's definitely some pros and cons. One of the pros is the lateral stability, and then the crazy efficient pump. You could almost pump the board up without there even being any wind, just like you would do with a dock start. That makes it really, really efficient when you're scraping the bottom of the barrel, but you're riding differently. So you have this big wingspan, you're taking really big, slow, arcing turns. So some of the things that you might know, that you might have learned while using a smaller wing in more powered conditions, it's going to be a little different. You're going to have to consider your technique, but when it comes to getting on the water, having fun, progressing, learning new things, it's actually really exciting. If you have any more questions, feel free to hit me up in the comments. If you have any tips or feedback for people who are looking to get into Lightwind winging, also drop it in the comments. And if you need help picking out gear, sizing, recommendations, let me know. I can link you up with a local shop. And if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. Catch you later.